Working through conflict. The fact of the matter is, conflict is going to happen because you were raised different from me. I mean, the way you grew up is different from pretty much everybody else. Some people were just raised by their mom, just by their dad, both parents, aunt, uncle, grandmother. And then even within that, a different number of brothers, different number of sisters. Like some people had to fight their brothers and sisters for everything. Some people were an only child, so they got everything given to them. Like there's all these factors that all of us have. And we grow up with all these different experiences and personalities. And we've all learned like, this is what works for me. This doesn't work for me. And this is how I respond to certain things. So yeah, when with the people you care about, whether it's relationships or friends or parents or cousins, aunts, uncles, you name it, you're gonna have conflict because you just think differently. And that's okay. That's normal. That's why we gotta work through it. But before I forget, one thing I have to say right now is there's a lot of people who aren't mature enough to work through conflict. You deserve better than somebody who will not work through conflict. You're wasting your time trying to work with somebody who knows they're right, they know you're wrong, and all they do is attack you on any little disagreement you have. You deserve better than that. And if you're trying to deal with those people, I'm gonna tell you right now, they are not worth your time. There's a lot of good people out there that are willing, that like who you are as a person, that want to work with you and talk to you and be your friend, whatever the case. But if you're hanging out with people like that, they don't deserve your effort. They don't deserve your time. Move on. You deserve better than that. Because, the way they were raised is to be prideful, yell, and argue louder and win the argument at all costs. And you need to be more mature than that. You need a person that's going to make you better and challenge you to grow. So I just had to say that before I forgot to say it, because I feel like too many people settle in terms of what relationships and friendships for people that honestly don't deserve to be your friend or partner. Second thing that I have to talk about is, when you do have conflict, because it's going to happen, it's going to come up, you're going to get fired up. Now, I'm going to warn you, like, trying to resolve conflict or work through conflict when you're irritated or emotional is a bad idea. It just usually doesn't work out. I don't have the ability to think sane and normal when I'm fired up and angry. I don't know if you do, maybe, but most of us don't. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is say, hey, you know what? Have the maturity to say, you know what? I know we're in the middle of an argument, and I know we're not seeing eye to eye right now. I'm a little too fired up right now. We're going to have to talk later. And some people can take a 10-minute breather from an argument or a disagreement and come back calm, cool, and collected. Some people need a few hours. Some people need a few days. I don't know what your personality type is when you've been into a heated discussion where you don't see eye to eye. And you just need to be aware of that, or the other person needs to be able to inform you, like, you know what? I think you're a little too fired up for this conversation right now. I do want to have this conversation, but right now we're both too fired up. We're too emotional. Not a good idea to try to work this out right now. Let's wait till we're both calm, cool, collected. Maybe even reflect on it. I know some people journal about it, write about it, and then they can come back with the more neutral perspective rather than trying to attack. And the biggest thing when it comes to, working through conflict is you have to listen. I'm going to be honest, when you're emotional, you don't really listen very well. You're just too fired up, too many things going on. If you just listen and genuinely try to understand where the other person's coming from, like, you'd be surprised what that could do for you and do for them. There have been times where, I have this skill. The skill is listen. Don't interrupt. Everything inside of you is going to be like, jump in there, say this, counter with that, argue with that, tell them why they're wrong for this. You have to fight that instinct. You got to squash it down and just genuinely listen. Like, for some of you, it'd be a good idea just be like, you know what, we disagree. You get 5 minutes, say whatever you want, uninterrupted. I get 5 minutes to say uninterrupted. And then maybe have 5 minutes of, okay, here's what I think you said, and here's what I think you said, and this is what I think our disagreement's rooted at. You just need to listen, and you have to fight that instinct inside you. And trust me, I tried the opposite extreme where all I did was try to argue and prove why I'm right. But people who know that they're right and are unwilling to listen, they're stagnant. They're not growing. They're not getting any better, and they don't want to get better. And you don't deserve those kind of people like that. So 1, stay away from those people who aren't willing to grow. 2, bad idea to argue when you're emotional. Take a little break, come back to it later. And then 3, listen. Just genuinely try and understand where the other person's coming from. And once you understand where they're coming from and where you're coming from, you can then meet in the middle, and then things will be better off. Because if they're worth it, you'll be willing to work through that conflict. And if they're not, Get them out of here. You deserve better than that. You can accomplish anything you want as long as you want to sacrifice to put in the work. I believe in you. Go get it.